Let's liquefy this. Check this out. Today we're going to be covering kind of a lot of topics, but I'm going to try and tie them all together. We're going to discuss major. We've been talking about major 7 versus pure major. We're going to talk about major chords, okay? We're going to deal with shell voicings. We're going to deal with liquid harmony. And we're going to get into Ladybird, the turnaround from Ladybird. If you're not familiar with liquid harmony yet, I go into it in a bit more depth in our study group membership courses, the Tonality Vault. It's in that, right? Every one of those upper structure triad explorations, we kind of talk about a different way to develop liquid harmony. That is based on the triad itself. This is going to be shell voicing liquid harmony. So we're going to take the basic 3-note voicing, 1, 3, 7, and we're going to inject movement into it. Liquid harmony is just the idea of melting down a solid chunk of ice. Like if we take a chord like G major 7, right? Root, major 7, major 3rd. Gary, what's happening, man? Good to see you on here. Okay? We can move any individual note here and it will give us liquid harmony. Liquid harmony is just the idea of taking pure harmony and injecting a little bit of melodic movement into it in one voice when the other voices are not moving. Okay, that's to me the way to really bring this idea to life. We can move any of these 3 notes, but for today, since we've been discussing major 7 versus pure major, right, like a G6 versus a G major 7, let's move the major 7 down to the 6. Major 7 is the middle voice, and the 6 is 2 frets lower. Okay, if you look at the example, you'll see the major 7 has a white circle around it. That's me letting you know to play that note and then get rid of it and move to the black dot. We can do this in root 6 position or up here in root 5th position. G note, G note, G major 7 shell, G major 7 shell, G major 7 shell with liquid harmony, G major 7 shell with liquid harmony. It's sort of like the major 7 moving to the major 6, or the 6, G major 7 to G6. Your priority should be on maintaining the other 2 voices, not having them move, not replucking them, not cutting them off. Replaying the whole chord, it's not going to sound as complex. Even though you're playing the same pitches and your fingers are doing the exact same thing, there's something about that oblique movement, oblique motion, where one, or in this case 2 notes are staying put and 1 note is moving around. Okay, that's oblique movement, when one thing stays put and one thing moves. Or again, in this case, 2 notes staying put. 2 notes are staying put, 1 note's moving. Let's take this idea before we apply it to Ladybird. If you hang with me a lot, you probably guessed what I'm going to say next. Let's move it through the circle of fifths. Okay, I think it's worth doing this. We'll start up here on the octave on the 15th fret because we're going to descend all the way down a full octave across the register of our instrument, the range of our instrument. Okay, same exact thing as written in the example down here on the 3rd fret, but raised up an octave. Now let's voice lead to C major. If you just move your middle finger up to the 5th string, from the 15th fret 6th string to the 15th fret 5th string, now you're on C major. C major 7, right? So now we can liquefy the C major 7, right? That gives us E. Okay, that C becomes F, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, something to mess around with to get used to this technique. Start with a basic root 6 and root 5. Make sure you're comfortable there, and then you can move it through the circle of fifths. One other idea you can play with before we jump into Ladybird is you can mess around with maintaining this liquid harmony technique while also injecting another form of movement by almost creating like a bass line, like a root 5th, root 5th. Right, 1, 5. Sean, what's up, man? Good to see you. Okay, you can do this in root 5 or root 6 position also. Root 5 position's a little bit easier, I think. This one I did not notate in the example, but if you know your roots and fifths, you should be able to figure it out pretty quickly. Just take the basic example I wrote out and just change out the root note for the fifth instead. If you can't see it, just look for the power chord. And then up here in root 5, when you go down a fifth, it looks like a fourth. G down to the fifth, to D. Combining the circle of fifths with this bass line movement. I'm injecting it into it. Root 5th to the next chord, root 5th, B7, B major 7, excuse me, to E major 7. But let's get into Ladybird real quick before we wrap up. If you're not familiar with the turnaround, you might want to pull out the real book if you need to, but it's just 4 major chords: C major, E flat major, A flat major, D flat major. Usually they're all written as major 7. Sometimes I see them, the last chord, I think the D flat, sometimes I'll see written as a dominant. I've always played them as major 7s. That's how I initially learned it, and I think how most people play it. Okay, let's liquefy this. Check this out. Again, this is notated, standard notation and tab in the example. Root 6, C major, E flat major, root 5, A flat, root 6, D flat, root 5, and then when we resolve from the D flat to the C major, where's Miles at? We get this really nice contrary motion. The root and third resolve down a half step, and the top voice, the 6, resolves up a half step. Right, so the voices are going like this. Again, the trick here, besides just practicing shell voicing liquid harmony a lot, getting used to the technique, making sure that your right hand is doing something that helps you do it. You can finger pick these, you can hybrid pick these. I would not recommend strumming these. I mean, you're welcome to try if you want, but usually when I hear students try to strum liquid harmony, it does not come across well. on Thursdays, the How Chords Move, the lesson is kind of literally how chords like to move through each other, like from one chord to another chord to another chord, kind of using different tension passing chords. This isn't so much how they move from one to the other, like it's not how to inject a diminished chord to get you from point A to point B. This is more about how you can create movement inside of a chord, right? We're taking a C major 7 and we're injecting movement into it. A little bit of inner voice movement is happening, which carries us to the next chord. And some really interesting things happen if you can just get used to the physicality of that. Then you can take it even further by breaking it down. Let's just try the lower 2 notes. Check out what happens if we isolate the lower 2 notes, get rid of the top voice, and just focus on the bottom 2 voices. It seems like by getting rid of a voice that it's going to come across as even less complex, like too simple. But in some ways, having only 2 voices kind of lets the ear hear those voices better, so we can hear these different types of movements. Because now there's only 2 things to pay attention to, so the ear's kind of able to hear either or both of them. We could do the same thing with the bottom and the top voice. Get rid of the middle voice. And there's that contrary motion now with just 2 voices, which is so easy to hear. But don't be afraid of the 3 note versions too. They're great. They're just a little more dense. There's always some kind of additional movement happening, whereas when you isolate one voice and take it out, sometimes there's moments where there is no additional movement, which is kind of a nice break to the ear, I think. Or it gives the ear kind of a chance to appreciate all these little pockets of quirky movement that would otherwise not be happening if we were just playing. Right, like, okay, so you get your drop chords down, but it's not that exciting to my ear. Like, it just sounds like very expected. That would be a lot more intriguing. I would do that if I was playing with a trio during my solo. I might play something like this because it comes across as melodic. So you don't need to be throwing in every riff you know at 16th notes constantly in your face. You can chill back a little bit and provide a little bit of harmonic accompaniment to your improvisational phrases. Shell voicing liquid harmony, major 7s, 6 chords, tying them together. Daniel, thanks man, glad you dig it. Andrew, great to see you. Miles, Van Epps used to call this contrary motion as the common finger factor. It's a bit more stiff than how liquid this sounds. I might have to edit that bit about how his was a bit more stiff than this, because I don't want anyone thinking that I'm trying to one-up Van Epps. If you don't know Van Epps, go check him out. Do yourself a favor. Do the world a favor. Glad you dig it. I don't know that contrary motion, I don't know his work well enough to know if he was referring to contrary motion or oblique motion. If you're talking about a common finger factor, it sounds like you're talking about having one thing stay put while something else moves. That would be oblique movement. Contrary movement is literally when the things are both moving but in different directions. And to me, it's like the pinnacle of voice leading. As long as everything is logical and makes sense and there's no gigantic jumps. There's nothing wrong with having small movement where it's all parallel. It's perfectly acceptable. It's just not quite as intriguing to the ear. It doesn't like perk the ear up, the inner ear, so to speak. Contrary motion will immediately, even unconsciously to a non-musician, will just come across as more colorful, like something more fascinating is happening, even when it's something really simple like a D flat major to a C major. Like even a non-musician, I know I'm making some assumptions here about people, but I think that's going to intrigue a non-musician's ear much more than, because that's just too, to me, that's just too kind of bland. It's like paint by colors. But there's something a little bit more three-dimensional. Let's go with that. There's something a little bit more three-dimensional about this, which I dig. I gotta run, everyone. Thanks for hanging. Again, check your email for the links. I'll send another one out today or tomorrow. The sale goes through Sunday. If you're not in the study group and you're looking for something very practical to help you through the process of figuring out what the basic fundamentals of music are, the DNA, which to me are triads and shell voicings. If you're trying to learn what those are and how to practice them in very efficient, practical ways, come check out the study group. We got courses that help. We do open office hours where I just hang and answer questions, make sure everyone's kind of moving forward and progressing. And then we have a really cool community that you can get to meet and hang with and share videos, give and receive feedback. Until tomorrow, we'll be back for our Advanced Melodic Triads Concepts Day. Until then, happy practicing. Leave questions in the comments section, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Hey YouTube, it's Jordan Clemens with NYC Jazz Guitar Masterclasses and the Melodic Triads Study Group. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I have a ton of content coming out on YouTube this year. We've been doing daily jazz guitar lessons, so I'm going to be posting videos like this pretty much every day. So if you dug this and you want to follow me, subscribe and make sure that you turn on notifications so that you can watch more videos like this. Thanks again for watching. Hope to see you in the comments section. Hope to see you in the next video.